Yeah, that's those are wonderful motivational posters. I think I always like the one that's like the old that's like it's a pretty princess or queen or something like that, and then you turn it upside down, it's an old lady.
Oh yeah, it's the whole hat. Yeah,
But I'm gonna Google how much it costs to fucking climb Everest here.
dude. I bet it's like a yeah. It's got to be a 5-digit number, and I bet like it takes a whole squad of people.
Going to Everest can be more expensive than buying a new car, Hollywood. Climbers can pay anything from $35,000 to more than $100,000. The cost includes $11,000 for the climbing permit. It's a motherfucking 5-year-old Honda
Whoa.
Honda Civic to even get the to be able to do it, let alone the fucking the gear and shit. Jesus fuck.
Yeah,
$100,000. I
and
mean, if you're trying to do this, like, I'm guessing $100,000 probably the dude that doesn't have to like drag his own poop down. I'm sure there's a clause in the uh, how do you say it? Is it? It's not Neapolitan. It's like
I don't
Nepal
know,
and
but
Tibet.
if you're paying $100,000 to go to Everest, you're totally relying on other people to get you to the top.
Yeah, you're not pulling a heavy load there. I'm guessing. I feel like there's like a semi-determined older dude, and then the chick who actually has like a Louis Vuitton luggage, like a box, like a trunk being drug up the mountain too. Like they have the big tent that's up there, and the wind's whipping around,
Oh
and they
yeah,
got like a bearskin rug in it.
takes 6 guys to drag it up there with a giant rope.
You're right. I mean, it's just like why would this is why we don't believe. This is why no one actually gets to see an alien. Is because they're smart enough to just hang out up there and kind of look in there and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, they're looking at us and they're very
Yeah, like
disappointed.
what the fuck? It's kind of like,
The Anunnaki already came back to get us, and they saw what we'd become, and they're like, "Nah,
oh god,
nah,
this is what's happening.
we can do better."
I was like, bro, man, you all got the wheel last time we were here. I was like, now like you're struggling to get this fucking electric car thing off the ground, bro. Like that's a big deal. You should do that.
Let's scramble up some air, stick it in a metal tank, and carry it with us to the highest place on the
So I want to
planet.
go back to this Graham Hancock guy real quick. He's kind of shook my belief system a little bit. I haven't. He has a book called Fingerprints of the Gods, which Joe Rogan cited. Again, not a huge Joe Rogan person at all. I've literally just watched anything that this Graham Hancock guy's been on. Anyway, this guy, he is pretty much, and he's convinced me. I don't even know how many hours of this guy he's on. He must be like one of the most revisited guests on Joe Rogan because there's a dozen of his videos or a dozen of his interviews on there, and I know.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of his stuff out there.
Yeah,
Period.
he's awesome, but he has fucking really convinced me of some shit here of where um I think he best puts it as we are a species with amnesia. As in, there was we did reach a certain large pinnacle, global pinnacle type of existence, advanced culture, if you will say it like that. But we weren't just fucking living in the fucking trees and like just we're not just fresh from monkeys like 10,000 years ago. Because some of these new sites and stuff like Göbekli Tepe and stuff that they're digging up and they're getting some of these carbon datable type of stuff that are saying that these huge monolithic places are at least 12,000 years old or more. And to have a culture that could build something like that took more than, I mean, think of us. I mean, think of fucking like just America. We're,
Yeah, they had to learn how to
yeah,
do it or be taught how to do it. One of the two. They couldn't be taught how to do it if they couldn't talk with other people across the
yeah,
planet. But like everyone is the same though. Like
yes.
you look at Native Americans and you look at tribes in Africa. They both put on headdresses and dance around and have little ceremonies that they do while
Titty
they
wagon. They're
honor
doing
the
a little
gods.
titty wagon.
Now they're both doing this miles,
Yeah, yeah.
miles apart from each other. Generations apart from each other, but they're doing the exact same thing because that's human nature, or because that's the way humans have always
Well, I think
acted.
I think this is the cool part about Graham Hancock is because most of these cultures, even early Christianity and the Gnostic was it the translation of the Dead Sea Scrolls, even when Christianity was built in, like a lot of pretty much all of the early cultures that we know of have like a deeply rooted ceremony in psychedelic herbs or mushrooms or vines or whatever. They all have all these ceremonies that are built on that. And this guy who has done dozens, I guess, and all the shit. I mean, I don't super know this dude at all. I would love to be the first guest we have on this podcast, or at least maybe set that as a small little bucket list here in the next few years. Um, but that all these people are tapping into to a system inside of our brains that does let us talk to a either another dimension or another realm or something like that we don't actually see.
Yeah.
So because again, like, we have this construct, like you said, like all we know is arms and limbs and fucking air and breathing. There could be a whole other fucking thing out there, and we're just
Well, think about like, just how many frequencies of radio signals there are versus how many frequencies of, satellite TV are flying through the air. At the same time, there's cell phone conversations going through the air. All of them exist in the exact same space, and are, you're perfectly capable of accessing that if you have the right gear. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean that
yeah.
it's not
And
there.
there is a small psychic pool to every human being, because there's you can just Google this shit and you can find out dozens and hundreds of studies on the staring. Like, if you're in a fucking mall and you just walk up in this motherfucker, everyone go do this. You don't have to go to a fucking mall, but when you're out in public or you're doing that, find someone that you've never fucking seen before, or a fucking shirt or whatever, and just eyeball that motherfucker down. I forget what the average time frame is. It's like, it's less than 10 seconds that human being will turn around and look at you. Like, we have this innate sense to know when something is looking at us, and we don't know that connectivity. I'm not going to sit here and fucking posture on that shit. If we know, like, oh, we're super connected, all human beings have the same brain. I don't fucking believe that shit. Or it may be out there. I'm just saying, like, our inherent ability to feel like that. I mean, that's something that's not tangible, right? You can't put your eyeballs on a stare, but there is a fucking
Right.
there's a wavelength that goes on, right? Like, I'm fucking focused on you, and there's
That's
a
right.
reflectee, I guess, because dolphins, do sonar, bats do sonar, like our little sonar is fucking looking out, and then rays and cones, it's bouncing back off the fucking retinas and shit. And, there's got to be
Yeah,
there has to
man.
be the equal opposite reaction to that. Like, someone else is feeling your fucking stare. It's a huge. They've quantified that. Like, that's the thing. That's an inherent thing that human beings have. Like, you can't stare at a motherfucker for too long for it. Like, that's probably like the
Well,
worst.
given that, what is the equal and opposite reaction to deja vu?
I guess just knowing, right?
I don't know. I mean,
Do you
like,
have it a lot?
for
Do
me,
you have
like,
deja vu a lot?
when I get deja vu, that feeling, it'll be like a span of like 3 weeks that it happens a lot, and then it doesn't happen again for like 3 years.
Yeah. I used to, I'm almost getting to that point right now. I used to have it a whole bunch. And this is, I'd love to hear your take on it, because when we start talking about these things, I'm always fascinated with your point of view. Mine has always been, um, think of it as a video game, right? And you're playing the same man over and over again. And when those things happen, it's the last time that you died in this life. And you got the choice, right? Left or right, up or down, coin flip, heads or tails, that kind of situation. Like, when those things kind of happen, and all of a sudden you're just sitting here looking back, and you're like, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this. And then your brain, whoever, whatever, just goes in the right direction. It stops you from leaving that, it finds your keys 20 seconds earlier so that you get out of the house and you drive past the fucking car wreck. Or, you lose your fucking wallet so you don't stop at the gas station when someone comes in there and robs it and shoots it. Or buy that pack of cigarettes that fucking gives you lung, those kind of things. Like, those little things that change you from going, from the last time you did this life, from dying and not turning out the right way. You chose that as the point to go back to and start again.
Well,
That's me, and I've had
possibly.
that for a long time. Because again, like, when I was a teenager, all the fucking time. All the fucking time. I gotta tell you, I don't know what you thought of me as a fucking teenager. I was a little bit of weirdo, but I fucking didn't care to fucking go out and do everything fucking wrong because I feel like it just worked the fuck out because I got those weird fucking. And that was back when oh, who was that lady? There was oh, Miss Cleo, right? Call me now,
Call me now for
yeah.
your free reading.
She had like that. It wasn't even. It was like a TV show kind of a thing, and she would always talk about those things in different realms. And I never slept as a kid. I barely slept in my 20s, and I was always up watching that shit. And I think she got me. And there's a few things that she said was like that. You know, like there is a spiritual realm. There are things out here. Like yes, you can talk to the dead. That's I think that's what they call ayahuasca, right? Over in the Amazon or whatever, it's like the vine of the dead or whatever. You eat this shit, you get to the spirit world, and you talk to someone who's not of this plane, and you know the spirits and shit. I do think we have no idea because we're so lost in the fact that we don't know where we came from. We're thinking that we came out of fucking fish and primordial ooze and shit, but what we don't understand is like this Graham Hancock guy. Again, he's convinced me of this shit. Is like we have millennia of another culture that all of it has been washed away, all of it. Now he cites
there's probably been like 3 or 4. I mean, there could have been unlimited numbers of.
I think it
like,
is
human civilizations, you know, prehistory, prehistory, you know, but we'll never know. All we can ever do is speculate about that.
Well, I think this is what the No, this is. I'll go off on the fucking rail here, and I'm somewhere deep in this bottle of wine. Now, this is, and I believe this wholeheartedly. And again, it goes kind of like that staring thing. And you ever heard of the hundred monkey theory or hypothesis or 99 monkey hypothesis? Whatever. I think it's 100 monkey. Anyway, so there was a study that was done, and wherever some little archipelago that had a couple of different islands of monkeys, and some study was going on, like where they were feeding them. They would airdrop pallets of, I think it was bananas. To be honest with you, I hate to be cliche to say bananas.
Let's go with bananas.
Yeah.
I like
anyway,
bananas.
So
that's easy to understand.
It's the same type of monkey, right? One monkey's on this island. Actually, it's not the same time. I think they were like short-tailed monkeys on this one. Anyway, there's monkeys on a couple different islands out here, and they're airdropping fucking bananas. And so they would drop and they would smash on the beach, and they would be dirty and sandy. And they did this for a long time. And then all of a sudden, like this one monkey decides to wash his banana off in the ocean. And then a few more monkeys wash their bananas off in the ocean. And then, like, the study is, like, this guy who's sitting there on the other island, like, they got a dude who's observing this shit, and he's writing it down. It got somewhere around, like, 100 of these monkeys. Like, as soon as the thing crashed, right? Or as soon as, they all went to get the thing, like, at 100 monkeys, the same date and time or whatever, the island across the little archipelago, all those monkeys all of a sudden, like, none of those other monkeys were washing any of that shit. There's no way for a monkey to swim across there, or they're not delivering messages or some shit like that. All of a sudden, all those monkeys on all of them, like all at once, all monkeys started washing their fucking bananas off in the ocean. That's a fucking powerful thing. I mean, that's a written down study. I think it's called the 100 monkey thing or whatever. And I think everyone's like that. And let me wrap this up because I don't remember the fucking name of that study, but I think when you get a certain percentage of human beings thinking the same way, that's when powerful things happen. And you can take it on any sort of percentage or region or whatever you want. We are fantastic, adaptive animals. We're fucking organic machines that are rolling around here. And when you get a certain group of people, for good or bad, Hollywood, for good or bad, when you get a large enough group of people that have their mind set on one thing, it will fucking happen.
All right. I forget who said it, but they said there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time is now.
That's fucking, yeah, that's delicious. I've never heard of that before. But that's exactly right. I mean,
yeah.
We'll cite the Nazis another time here. Like, that was one dude or a small country that, for better or worse, this fucking Hitler dude fucking got people believing in the same fucking thing. And Germany wasn't that big.